In this video, I'm in the prime of life. I've got my primes back. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James here. I'm that Micro Four Thirds guy, and as you can see, I'm back in Paphos again. I've been home. I went home for a month, and you'll have seen probably the review I did of the little flash unit. I've got another video coming up on that soon. But yeah, I did discuss before I went away that obviously I've got different needs over here, and I was going to be maybe getting rid of some of my gear. One of which was, of course, my EM1 Mark 1. Well, it's here. I still have it. I have my M1. I brought it back. I couldn't sell it. One, the money I was going to get for it was going to be lousy. But two, it's just one of those really nice cameras. I've got the battery grip on here, which I love using. It's a fantastic camera. So yes, I brought my EM1 Mark II, not Mark 1, my EM1 Mark II across, and complete with a couple of batteries. Left my charger at home, but luckily I have a spare charger over here. But yes, I'm pleased I brought it. I wasn't going to, but I'm pleased that I have. Let's stick that back in the bag, because that's not the subject of today's video. Because not only have I brought that, but I brought my primes across. And there's something for me about shooting prime lenses. I think it's maybe because when I first started with cameras, you didn't have a choice of lenses. You know, there were fixed lenses. I had a twin lens reflex camera, an old Brownie, which I started with, but also had this sort of Kodak and Stamatics and all those sort of things. And then of course got the Zenit E, but the Zenit E came with a 50mm screw thread lens, a prime lens on it. When I finally got my first decent camera, which was my OM1N, the film camera, that case of course came with a 50mm lens on it, an f1.8 Zuiko lens. And I photographed everything with that. It's amazing what you can do with a prime lens when you're forced into that one focal length. And I was doing all sorts with that. So there's something magical for me about taking photographs with a prime lens. First of all, the speed. I mean, you're talking about a much faster lens with much shallower depth of field. So you've got a little bit more leeway as to what you can do. You've got that darker places you can get into and still get a good shot, but also you can start getting some of the more blurry backgrounds. And I'm not a great one for the bokeh. You know, somebody put on the bucket. The bucket. I like that. I'm going to call it bucket from now on. The bokeh, the bouquet, the whatever you want to call it. I'll call it the bucket. But I'm not a great one for the really silly shadow depths of field. It's a modern idiom which hasn't been there, but it is useful for getting that separation, for highlighting the object in front and giving you that little bit of a push on that object in there. So a fast lens really is useful. So I've built up a collection of lenses. Now, I'm not, as I say, one for the great super shallow depth of fields. So most of the lenses I've got are not the super fast 1.2s, 1.4s. They tend to be the 1.7, 1.8 sort of area or higher. So let's just take you through, because it's a while since I took you through the lenses that I use on my Micro Four Thirds system as prime lenses. But I'm going to go up in size wise, and the first one I brought across. The good thing with prime lenses, you can pack lots into a case and they're all light. This weighs nothing. This one is the 14mm f2.5, I think it is. Do you know, it's so long since I lost, I'm sure it's f2.5. F2.5, the 40mm f2.5 Lumix, this tiny little lens. This is the second one I've had, if you remember. The first one is somewhere sitting in the North Sea in Sea Houses Harbour, unfortunately. This is a Mark 1 version of it, and it's a great little lens, absolutely fabulous little lens. It's the sort of thing you don't notice on the front of the camera. And if you're going to do any sort of street photography, or if you're going to do anything where you want to be a bit discreet, a small camera with this on really shows the Micro Four Thirds system off to its best. Wonderful lens, not super fast, but being so wide, you don't need it to be super fast on that. You don't need that. You're not going to get the super shallow depth of field, even if it was quite fast. But I find this a really useful lens, and fast enough to be able to go into fairly dark places and get some great shots. So that's my 14mm. Then I go on to the first prime I actually bought for the Micro Four Thirds system when I came off Canon, came off full frame. And this is the 17mm f1.8 Olympus. I love this lens. I know some people don't like it so much, but I do. I think it's a great lens. This is the one that's got one of the lenses that's got the clutch, the locking clutch for the aperture on there, and sorry, for the focus on there. And I find this is great because I can focus onto something, lock it in, then it can do what it wants, and as soon as I push the ring down again, it's back snapped that focus. So if I'm doing something where I want to do some other shots but come back onto the subject really good, I love this lens. I think it is super sharp. I think it's super useful. It's a really, really useful focal length. As I've said before, I don't tend to do too much of the equivalences, but we'll do we'll do it on this video. So of course the 14mm I've just shown you will be 28, which is a nice wide angle lens. This is equivalent to a 34, almost the 35mm you get on the full frame, 34mm. And that's a really, really useful focal length. I find 35mm I used to use a lot on full frame. It's great to get full body shots, and if you use it properly and don't go silly, you can get it without too much distortion. And I find it a really, really useful lens. So that's the 17mm f1.8. Next, the Lumix 25mm f1.7. This one I raved about when I first got it because they're only about £150 brand new UK. Maybe it's gone up a little bit with inflation, but not a great deal. Comes complete with a lens hood. Really, really nice little lens. The only problem is it's got a lot of focus breathing on it, and not so much if you're using it on Lumix cameras, but when you put this on the Olympus, it's not the best of camera. It's very slow on the Olympus. And although I'd like this, especially for the price, when I did a comparison to the Olympus 1.8, I found that this let itself down somewhat. But if you want the prime just to get into it on a budget, don't dismiss this. It's a really good lens. Next is my Olympus 25mm f1.8. which I can't show you because it's sitting on my G9 next door. I've been doing some videos on that for my other channel, so it's sitting on my G9 next door. It is over here, and I find, although it's getting on for twice the price of the Lumix lens, it is a noticeable difference in quality of build and quality of photograph from it, and gets rid of all the focus breathing. So between the two, the f1.8 25mm lens, which of course is a 50mm full frame equivalent, the nifty 50 if you like, is a really good one. And again, the thing with nifty 50s on the full frame cameras, it was a nice easy way to get into primes without going to spend the money. And go back to the Lumix, that's actually what that is. So I can't dismiss it too much. Yes, it has problems, but it's a cheap, easy way to get into primes if you've never done them before. And it's an easy way to appreciate what a prime lens does. Moving on, so I've done the 25mm. Then I got this one. I said I don't usually go for the super fast lenses, but this one's an f1.4. This again is a lens hood, but this is the Sigma, although it's got a Lumix badge on the front. This is the Sigma 30mm. I did a review on this one. If I can remember, I'll put a link onto it. But I did a review actually in Cyprus a couple of years ago when I got this one. This is the DC DN art lens, the 30mm f1.4 prime. I love this. It's a little bit tighter than the sort of standard lens that you get on cameras. On full frames, it used to be always the 50mm lens. This is equivalent to a 60mm, so it's a little bit tighter in field of view, but a great lens. If you're doing any sort of portrait work, I find this is a really nice lens. The f1.4 does allow you even more light and even shallower depth of field. And the shallow depth of field is hard to achieve on the Micro Four Thirds for the equivalent field of view. Because obviously you've got the smaller sensor. So this can become very, very useful. Comes with its lens hood. Not a particularly expensive lens, but I found that when I tried it, was an absolutely pin-sharp lens with really, really good distortion control and really, really good contrast as well. Well worth doing. If you get any of the Sigma art lenses, they do several in this. The problem with this is it's a bit of a bigger lens because these are meant as a lens which Sigma will take across different ranges. So most of the ones that this is going to go onto are APS-C cameras. Fuji, I think they do it for Canon, I'm not sure if they do, but certainly Fuji, Sony, I think maybe a Nikon version of it. So the Micro Four Thirds is a little bit of an unusual one because this would be a different focal length on the APS-Cs. But for us, this would give me a 60mm equivalent. I think it's really, really good and pin sharp. A little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but nothing to write home about, nothing worrying. Now, before I get to the next couple of lenses, if you're enjoying this video, please consider buying me a coffee. There's a QR link up there if you'd like to buy me a coffee. It would be really, really appreciated, because it's what keeps the channel going. And also, if you look below, if you'd like to become a patron of the channel, my Patreon page, have a look down there. There's a link both for the Buy Me a Coffee and the Patreon in the description below. But the other thing is as well, please give me a subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Give me a thumbs up to like the video. And also, tick the all by hitting the little notification bell. Tick the all, and that'll get you notifications every time I upload a new video. So to the next lens. Well, this has been such a go-to lens for me. A lot of this work I used to do were torso, but portraits, very similar sort of view that you got here, but in portrait mode. I used to do a lot of portraits, youngsters, at school photos, and also with the military cadets. And when I used to shoot full frame on that, I'd be using an 85mm lens. I found that was a really good distance to be away from them, so you're not intimidating them by being too close, but you're not too far away that you lose the ability to actually talk to the subject. But it gave just the right depth, just the right field of view for that. Now, of course, this is a 2-to-1 conversion when you're going on to that. So the equivalent, this is the 45mm equivalent to a 90mm. So it's very, very close to what I used to shoot on full frame. This is the f1.8. Now, even when I was doing portraits like that, I never used to go for the silly bokehs, because usually I wanted something like a standard or a flag or something in the background which was definable. So it had to be soft but not silly out of focus. So this would be an f1.8 is absolutely ideal. It is a pin sharp little lens. It's a brilliant lens, and you can see the size of a 45mm lens. You hardly know it's on the front of the camera. And I've done reviews on this one in the past as well. If I remember, I'll put a link up. But this is just an awesome little lens. I've had it for a long time. I think if I was buying again, I would probably go for the 42.5 Lumix f1.7 lens. It's a little bit nicer to use than this, but there's nothing wrong with this. If you've got one of these, don't exchange it for the Lumix one. You don't need to. If I was buying a fresh, I'd go for the Lumix f1.7 42.5mm. But it is more expensive. This is cheaper. But if you have one of these already, don't fret. You're not losing it by much. And this is my go-to lens for almost all portrait work. It's absolutely superb. Totally fast for what I need. Tiny, light, and easy. So the 45mm f1.8 from Olympus. My final one's another Sigma lens. Now, Sigma have been one of those sort of lenses I never really look at, but I've ended up with a couple of them and thoroughly enjoyed it. So this is my Sigma 60mm. Again, this is one of the art series. This is the DN. This is the f2.8 16mm. Again, this is another lens which has been adapted for the mounting plate to be mainly from APS-C, but ideal for Micro Four Thirds. Small lens hood on this one. An unusual, very smooth focus ring, but it does actually work on it. It's useful. Like a lot of these lenses, but this is probably more. I don't know if you can hear this. If you give it a gentle shake, you can hear things moving inside. Don't worry. If ever you got one of these lenses where you can hear things moving inside, the mechanism inside is held in place by electromagnets. So when you plug it in to the camera, that's the focusing system, and it's held solid. I'm really worried about it at first. But I find this is a really good lens. f2.8, yes, it's a little bit slower than the others, but it's still faster than almost all the standard zooms that you get. And even the fast pro zooms, you know, the 12 to 40 Olympus, for instance, is an f2.8 for their professional lens. But this is great if you're doing headshots. Again, for being that reusable distance away from your subject, where it's intimate enough that you can communicate, but not too remote where you seem away from them. If you're doing headshots rather than torso shots, this is an absolutely superb lens. Again, pin sharp. These have stopped being made, but what I really liked about this, I paid brand new from a dealer from a camera shop in Carlisle. I paid £129 UK, good few years ago, but I paid only £129 for a brand new Micro Four Thirds lens from a major name, Sigma, and I was really impressed with it. So there we are. That's the primes I brought across. As I say, if you haven't shot primes before, give them a try. Buy yourself a nifty 50, or if you have Micro Four Thirds, a nifty 25. Doesn't quite work, does it? But yeah, buy yourself a decent prime lens. Go and take it out and learn to work around the limitations. Learn to actually use that lens to its maximum. Every so often I'll go out and I'll deliberately just take a prime because I know I'm going to be limited. I know that I don't have choices. I won't take a zoom out. I'll take a prime and I'll pick a prime and say, okay, 60mm, that's a hard lens to do. That is equivalent of a 120mm on full frame. So that's a medium telephoto lens. But I'll take a lens out like that and I'll go and try and find subjects. I'll try and find things to take photographs of. And what that does is it makes you think of things in a different way. It makes you see things in a different way. Where normally I'd be taking a fairly wide shot and looking at, with this I'll be taking something in detail, because I enjoy doing a lot of abstract photography, and this is ideal for that. It lets you zoom in on a small portion while you're a reasonable distance away, or alternately it lets you see things which you wouldn't be able to reach with a standard 25mm lens. Now I know on a zoom lens you can do all that, but it's the limitation which actually makes the challenge, and the challenge to me is sometimes what makes photography fun. And as I've said in most of my videos, have fun with your photography. Well, by limiting yourself to a prime, that's either a swarm of bees or a very noisy motorbike. By limiting yourself to a particular lens, the fun is actually exploring the limitations, not being cosseted by the flexibility. So get yourself a prime. They're not expensive. They're available second hand very, very reasonably. Stick it on your camera. Go and have fun with that lens and go and have fun with your photography. Anyway, so Brian James at Micro Four Thirds guy saying, as I say, have fun with your photography. I'll see you next time. And yes, I'll be bringing you some things on the flash strobe lights, I think, on the Godox strobes, because I said I did that review last time. So keep your eyes open for them. Bye-bye.